right, hey, we're out here, Blackbird Performance out in the hangar working on some more Gen 3 Hemi the World parts to try to make it easier and less expensive to put a Gen 3 Hemi anywhere you want it. And what's better than a Gen 3 Hemi? A Gen 3 Hemi with a supercharger on it. So many of the folks out there in the Gen 3 community use the Hellcat IHI style blowers, and those work great for many applications. And for our stuff, we often upgrade to the new Kong 2650 blower. It turns out that when you buy the Kong 2650 blower, it's intended to be a Hellcat TRX, Trackhawk replacement blower. And so therefore, when you get it, you don't get the lid with it, you don't get the intercooler bricks, you don't get the throttle body, you don't get the bypass. And so for our use, where we're using them on race engines, purpose-built race engines or swap engines into vehicles that don't have a Hellcat donor card to start with, we had to come up with all that stuff. A lid. And of course, when we came up with our lid, we worked on improving the performance and appearance. Hellcat style intercooler bricks that might actually perform better. We have a set of those coming to market. And then a bypass valve that's a mechanical bypass valve for our race swap applications, and a mechanical 130 millimeter throttle body. All those are in use today, and our race spec was going to be a 1200 horsepower engine, now 13 horsepower engine, because that blower works so well with all those add-on parts. But the fuel rails are readily available for everyone to use on just the Hellcat IHI blower and the Kong 2650. These fuel rails work in both cases, because we went to the market to come up with all these parts to complete the Kong blower and use it in our purposes. And we found that there are billet fuel rails in the market, but they didn't hit the cost functionality mark that we wanted to hit. So like we do in a lot of cases, we looked at that and said, can we make these here in America, in the USA, good old Kentucky, and make them cheaper and for our use anyway, better. So we came out with our own Blackbird Performance billet fuel rails. They're on the market today. You can order them right now. They're on the shelf behind me. $269 for a pair of fuel rails. You go out in the market and compare, you'll find there aren't many other billet fuel rails in the market for a price point like that. And these, again, are made right here in the USA. So what do you get? You open the box, you get your 2 fuel rails and the attachment screws, which are a stainless steel socket-headed cap screw. And you get 2 of these fuel rails. They are different side to side. So side to side, they just chose to put the brackets in a little different location, so that there's a right and a left side, or a driver and a passenger side. But the brackets are pre-installed for you to the fuel rail. So all you need to do is put the fuel rail on and put your 2 attachment screws in, which are included. As an example, this Hellcat blower right here, this is just a standard 2.4 liter IHI Hellcat blower. You can see how they fit. We can show you in a couple screenshots how they fit on the Kong. Now, you'd say, well, how do you hook them up? If you got the return style system, it plumbs in differently. And we like to use the return style system and go away from the stock Hellcat fuel rail and go to a return style system. But you can hook them up as a returnless system also and replace these stainless steel fabricated fuel rails that come from the factory. And if you look inside those guys, you can see there's some flow restriction in there. And of course, we're looking for lots of fuel flow, lots of horsepower. So we like these billet fuel rails on pretty much anything we do. Hellcat, or one of our race spec engines with the Kong 2650 on it. And we wanted to make them available to everybody. So these products are available today. Again, there's many, many ways you can hook them up. They take an 8AN ORB fitting, so you can simply screw in fittings on either end and plumb them in how you'd like. If you choose to use the stock hookup, there are various folks in the marketplace that offer a kit that will hook up to 8AN fittings on either end and then complete the system to hook into your Hellcat system as is. For our purposes in race and swap vehicles, we go to a return system and put 2 of these guys in and plumb them in. Hope this really helps a lot of folks in the market. At $269, we're proud to offer these made in the USA billet fuel rails to you today, because we want to be here Gen 3 Hemiing in the world and doing it at a lower and lower price point.